The smell of sweat and sawdust hung heavy in the air of the small, dimly lit dojo. Not exactly the glamorous setting I'd envisioned for my future as a martial arts master. But hey, you gotta start somewhere, right? Again, Master Lee barked, his voice surprisingly powerful for such a wiry old man. Focus your chi, Leo. The power comes from within. I gritted my teeth, channeling my inner Bruce Lee, or at least my inner Jackie Chan, depending on the day, and launched into another round of kicks and punches, the rhythmic thud of my fists against the worn punching bag echoing through the dojo. Better, Master Lee nodded, his eyes sharp and critical. But still too much reliance on brute force. You must be like the willow, Leo, flexible, adaptable, unbreakable. Easier said than done, especially after a long day at the bookstore, surrounded by dusty shelves and even dustier customers. Do you have the latest self-help book by that, uh, celebrity chef? Not exactly the path to martial arts glory. Leo, honey, are you still messing around with that karate stuff? Sophia's voice, laced with a mix of amusement and disdain, cut through my post-training euphoria. It's not karate stuff, I corrected, wiping the sweat from my brow. It's kung fu, and it's not messing around. It's my passion. Sophia perched on the edge of my bed, her perfectly manicured nails tapping impatiently on her phone, barely glanced up. Whatever you call it, Leo, it's not going to pay the bills. When are you going to get a real job? This is a real job, I protested, flexing my admittedly unimpressive biceps. I'm practically a professional athlete. Sophia rolled her eyes, the gesture of familiar punctuation to our conversations. A professional athlete who works at a bookstore and lives in a tiny apartment, she scoffed. Face it, Leo, you're never going to make it. Fighting is for thugs. Get a real job with a real future. Her words stung, a familiar reminder of my perceived inadequacy in the real world. Sophia, with her ambition, her drive, her pursuit of a life of luxury and status. She just didn't get it. She couldn't. But I wouldn't give up. Not on my dream. Not on my passion. I would prove her wrong. I would become a martial arts master, a legend, a force to be reckoned with. And maybe, just maybe, one day she would see that the power within me was more valuable than any fancy job or expensive apartment. Leo, we need to talk. Sophia's voice, usually bright and cheerful, was now laced with a seriousness that sent a shiver down my spine. I looked up from my well-worn copy of The Art of War, a frown creasing my brow. Can it wait, babe? I'm about to— No, Leo, it can't. She stood in the doorway of my cramped apartment, her arms crossed, her expression a mix of impatience and pity? Yeah, definitely pity. My stomach churned. This couldn't be good. All right, what's up? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She took a deep breath, her perfectly manicured nails, probably fresh from the salon I could barely afford to take her to, drumming against her arm. This isn't working, Leo. I can't do this anymore. The words hit me like a misplaced kick to the gut. Do what? What are you talking about? Us, she said, her voice flat, devoid of the affection it usually held. It's over. My mind reeled. Over, just like that? After all the training, the sacrifices, the ramen noodle dinners. But why? I stammered, feeling a familiar wave of inadequacy wash over me. It's not you, Leo, she said, though her tone suggested otherwise. It's me. I need more. More what? More than this. She gestured vaguely around my apartment, her nose wrinkling slightly at the sight of my training equipment and the overflowing laundry basket. More than a struggling martial artist with no real prospects. But I'm getting better, I protested, flexing my bicep, which admittedly wasn't quite as impressive as I'd hoped. Master Lee says I have potential. Potential doesn't pay the rent, Leo, she scoffed. And it certainly doesn't buy the kind of lifestyle I aspire to. Lifestyle. Yes, lifestyle, she exclaimed, her voice rising in frustration. I want nice things, Leo. A big house, designer clothes, vacations. I want to be with someone who can provide that. And I can't? The question came out as a pathetic whimper. She shook her head, her blonde hair swaying with the motion. You're chasing a pipe dream, Leo. Fighting is a dead end. You need a real career, a stable income, a future. But martial arts is my future, I argued, though the conviction in my voice wavered. No, Leo, she said, her voice softening with a condescending pity that was worse than her anger. It's not. I've met someone else. Someone who understands my ambitions. Someone who can give me the life I deserve. Who? I asked, though I already knew the answer. It was always about someone richer, more successful, more conventional. He's a banker, she said, a smug smile playing on her lips. He has a penthouse apartment, a yacht, and a trust fund. He's everything you're not. And with that, she walked out, leaving me standing there amidst the sweat and sawdust of my dreams, feeling like I'd just been knocked out in the first round. Dude, you're really doing this? Ben, my ever-practical roommate, stared at me with a mixture of concern and disbelief. Suitcases lay open on my bed, spilling their contents. Not that I had much to pack. A few changes of clothes, some toiletries, and my trusty copy of The Art of War. Never leave home without it. Yep, I said, zipping up the last bag, my voice firmer than I felt. I'm out of here. But where are you going? Anywhere but here, I replied, the image of Sophia and her smug banker boyfriend flashing through my mind. I need to train, Ben. I need to get stronger, better. I need to prove her wrong. By running away? Not running away, I corrected, slinging the backpack over my shoulder. Chasing my dream. Besides, Master Lee gave me a contact, a guy in Thailand. Apparently he knows some unconventional training methods. Unconventional was good. Unconventional was what I needed. No more dusty dojos and pitying glances from Sophia's friends. I needed to push myself, break my limits, become the fighter I always knew I could be. Thailand, Ben whistled. That's intense. Intense is good, I grinned, a flicker of my old enthusiasm returning. Intense is what's going to make me a champion. But what about your job, your apartment? Screw the job, I said, feeling a surge of reckless abandon. And you can have the apartment. Just don't let Sophia throw a moving-in party with Mr. Banker. Ben chuckled. Don't worry, I'll defend our bachelor pad with my life, or at least with a strongly worded letter to the landlord. I gave him a fist bump, a lump forming in my throat, despite my attempts to stay casual. Thanks, Ben. You're a good friend. You too, man, he said, his voice surprisingly sincere. Just don't forget about us little people when you're a world-famous martial arts champion. Wouldn't dream of it, I grinned, feeling a surge of confidence I hadn't felt in weeks. I walked out of the apartment, the familiar weight of my training bag a comforting presence on my shoulder. The city stretched before me, no longer a cage, but a gateway. A gateway to a new life, a new challenge, a new me. Goodbye, Sophia, I whispered, a hint of defiance in my voice. Goodbye, bookstore. Goodbye, mediocrity. I'm going to be a legend. And with that, I stepped out into the unknown, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement, my spirit burning with a newfound determination. The journey had begun. Thailand was just the beginning. Master Kwan, the contact Master Lee had given me, was intense. Imagine Yoda, but with less cryptic wisdom and more yelling, and a penchant for making you spar with bamboo sticks. Pain is your teacher, Leo, he'd bellow as I nursed a particularly nasty bruise on my ribs. Embrace the pain. It will make you stronger. Stronger, maybe, but also a lot more aware of my own mortality. Still, Kwan's training was brutal but effective. He pushed me beyond my limits, forcing me to adapt, to improvise, to fight with a ferocity I never knew I possessed. You have the spirit of a tiger, Leo, he said one day after I'd finally managed to disarm him, using a move I'd totally improvised, by the way. But the control of a drunken monkey. Okay, so I still had some work to do on the whole grace and precision thing. From Thailand, I traveled to Brazil, where I learned the art of capoeira from a master who looked like he could bench press a small car. His training involved a lot of flips, kicks, and dodging coconuts. Don't ask. "Flow like water, my friend," he'd say, his voice surprisingly gentle for a guy who could probably break my neck with his pinky finger. Be unpredictable, be elusive, be the coconut. I wasn't sure about the coconut part, but I got the gist. Then it was off to Japan, where I trained in a secluded mountain dojo with a master who spoke only in riddles and haiku. His training involved a lot of meditation, tea ceremonies, and fighting blindfolded against opponents who were definitely not holding back. "Inner peace leads to outer strength," he'd say, or something like that. Honestly, I mostly just nodded and hoped I wasn't about to get accidentally impaled on a katana. But it wasn't all secluded dojos and philosophical musings. I also fought. A lot. Underground fight clubs, back alley brawls, anything to test my skills, to push myself to the edge, to prove that I was more than just a struggling martial artist with no real prospects. The fights were brutal, bloody, and often terrifying. But with each victory, with each scar, with each lesson learned, I felt myself growing stronger, more confident, more unstoppable. "You're getting good, kid," a grizzled old fighter said to me after I'd won a particularly nasty bout in some dimly lit warehouse in Russia. "Real good. You got the fire in your eyes, the hunger." "Thanks," I said, wiping the blood from my lip. "I've been training." "Training?" he chuckled. "You've been through the fire, kid, and you came out stronger. That's what makes a champion." A champion. The word echoed in my mind, a distant dream now within reach. I had come a long way from the bookstore and Sophia's condescending remarks. I was no longer the boy she had dismissed. I was a warrior, a survivor, a force to be reckoned with. And as I prepared for my next fight, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and exhilaration, I knew that this was just the beginning. The world was waiting, and I was ready to show them what I was made of. Vegas, baby. The city of lights, casinos, and the ultimate fighting championship. Yeah, that's right. The UFC. The culmination of years of blood, sweat, and questionable dietary choices. Those protein shakes are brutal. I, Leo the Lionheart Lewis, was about to step into the octagon and fight for the world championship title. "Dude, you look like you're about to throw up," Ben said, his voice a mixture of awe and concern as he adjusted my gloves. We were backstage, the roar of the crowd a distant rumble, the smell of liniment and anticipation thick in the air. Ben, bless his loyal soul, had flown out to be my corner man, despite his lingering fear that I might accidentally get my head kicked off. "Nah, I'm just focused," I said, trying to ignore the butterflies doing somersaults in my stomach. "Remember that time I ate that dodgy street food in Bangkok? That was way worse than this." Ben, ever the pragmatist, just shook his head. "Dude, you almost died that time." "Yeah, but I learned a valuable lesson. Never trust a pad thai vendor who also sells knockoff sunglasses." He sighed, but I could see the pride in his eyes. We'd come a long way from that cramped apartment and Sophia's dismissive remarks. Now I was on the verge of achieving my dream, of proving everyone wrong, of becoming a champion. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer's voice boomed through the arena, "are you ready for the main event?" The crowd roared, their cheers a tidal wave of sound that sent shivers down my spine. This was it. Showtime. Introducing the challenger, Leo the Lionheart Lewis. The spotlight hit me, blindingly bright, and I stepped out into the arena, the roar of the crowd washing over me, a mix of excitement, anticipation, and a healthy dose of bloodlust. I grinned, soaking it all in. This was my moment. My opponent, the reigning champion, was a beast of a man, all bulging muscles and scowling intensity. He looked like he could punch through a brick wall, and probably had, judging by the rumors. But I wasn't intimidated. Not anymore. I had faced down masters, fought in underground arenas, and dodged coconuts thrown by a guy who could probably crush a watermelon with his bare hands. This was just another fight. The bell rang, and we circled each other, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a katana. He lunged, a flurry of punches and kicks that would have sent most opponents scrambling. But I was ready. Years of training, of pushing my limits, of honing my skills. It all came together in that moment. I dodged, I weaved, I countered, my movements fluid, precise, a testament to the diverse training I'd undergone. The crowd roared, their cheers echoing through the arena as I landed a series of jabs, followed by a spinning kick that sent my opponent stumbling. He recovered quickly, his eyes narrowed with a dangerous glint. This wasn't going to be easy. He was strong, experienced, and clearly determined to keep his title. But I was determined to take it from him. The fight raged on, a brutal dance of skill, strength, and sheer willpower. We traded blows, each punch, each kick, a testament to our dedication, our passion, our unwavering pursuit of victory. I felt a surge of adrenaline, the familiar thrill of combat coursing through my veins. This was what I was born for. This was my destiny. In the third round, I saw my opening. A momentary lapse in his defense, a flicker of hesitation in his eyes. I seized the opportunity, launching into a combination of moves I had learned from Master Quan, Master Silva, and that cryptic Japanese dude on the mountain. A flurry of punches, a sweeping kick, and finally, a perfectly executed takedown that sent my opponent crashing to the mat. The crowd went wild, their cheers deafening as I pinned him down, my fists raining down blows, my heart pounding with the certainty of victory. And the new champion, Leo the Lionheart Lewis. The announcer's voice boomed through the arena, barely audible above the roar of the crowd. I raised my arms in triumph, the championship belt clasped around my waist, the weight of it a tangible symbol of my victory, of my journey, of my transformation. I had done it. I had proven everyone wrong. I had achieved my dream. As I stood there, basking in the cheers, the cameras flashing, the world watching, I couldn't help but think of Sophia. I wondered if she was watching. I wondered if she saw the man I had become, the champion I had always known I could be. And as I looked out at the crowd, a grin spreading across my face, I knew that this was just the beginning. The world was my octagon now, and I was ready to conquer it. "So," Ben said, swirling the ridiculously expensive champagne in his ridiculously expensive glass, "this is nice." "Nice is an understatement, Ben," I replied, surveying the opulent ballroom of the mansion. Chandeliers glittered, artwork that probably cost more than my entire bookstore salary hung on the walls, and the view overlooking the city was, well, breathtaking. Or it would have been if I wasn't busy picturing Sophia's face when she saw me here. "Remember that time we used to dream about living in a place like this?" Ben chuckled, taking a sip of the champagne. "Back when we were eating ramen noodles and watching kung fu movies on your tiny TV?" "Yeah," I said, a wry smile tugging at my lips. "Good times." "Good times," Ben echoed. "But this is insane. You're actually living in their house, man. Sophia's and what's his name again?" "Chad," I supplied, the name tasting like vinegar in my mouth. "Chadwick III, Esquire, or whatever." "Right, Chad," Ben nodded. "So how did you even, acquire this place?" "Foreclosure," I said, shrugging nonchalantly. Turns out, Chad wasn't as financially savvy as he pretended to be. Missed a few mortgage payments, the bank got a little impatient. Ben choked on his champagne. "You're kidding, right? You bought this place after they foreclosed on it?" "Yep," I said, taking a sip of my own champagne. It was a good investment opportunity." "A good investment opportunity," Ben repeated, his voice laced with disbelief. "Dude, you bought Sophia's house out from under her." "Technically, it was Chad's house," I corrected. "But yeah, same difference." "This is epic," Ben said, shaking his head in amusement. "You're like a real-life superhero, man. You came back, you conquered, and now you're living in the mansion of your enemies." "Something like that," I said, a hint of satisfaction creeping into my voice. "It's not about revenge, Ben. It's about making a point." "What point?" "That dreams are worth fighting for, I said, my gaze sweeping over the lavish surroundings. That hard work pays off, and that sometimes the universe has a funny way of giving you exactly what you want, just a little bit later than you expected. And in the most humiliating way possible for your ex-girlfriend, Ben added, grinning. That's just a bonus, I said, winking. The doorbell rang, interrupting our champagne-fueled reminiscing. Speaking of the devil, I muttered. You think it's them? Ben asked, his eyes widening. Only one way to find out, I said, heading towards the door. I opened it to reveal Sophia and Chad standing on the steps, their faces a mixture of confusion and something else. Fear, maybe a little bit of fear. Leo? Sophia gasped, her eyes widening as she took in the sight of me standing in the doorway of their mansion. Hi, Sophia, I said, my voice casual, almost bored. Chad. Chad, ever the charmer, or at least he used to be, stepped forward, a forced smile plastered on his face. Leo, old boy, fancy seeing you here. We were just, visiting. Lovely place you've got here. Visiting? I raised an eyebrow. That's funny. I don't remember inviting you. Sophia's face paled. What? What do you mean, Leo? I mean, I said, my voice hardening slightly, that this is my house now, and you're not welcome here. Chad sputtered, his forced smile faltering. But this is our house. We live here. Not anymore, I said, my gaze locking with Sophia's. The bank foreclosed. I bought it. Consider it a hostile takeover. Sophia's eyes filled with tears, her carefully constructed composure crumbling. You wouldn't, she whispered. Wouldn't I? I asked, a hint of amusement creeping into my voice. You thought I was just a loser, remember? A guy with no future. Well, look at me now, Sophia. I'm living in your mansion, and you're not. I gestured towards the driveway where a moving van was parked, waiting. I've arranged for your belongings to be delivered to your new address. It's a charming little studio apartment downtown, perfect for struggling bankers and their, companions. Chad spluttered, his face turning an alarming shade of red. You can't do this. This is outrageous. I'll sue. Sue me? I chuckled. Go ahead, Chad. See how that works out for you. I stepped aside, the message clear. They were no longer welcome here. This was my house now, and they were evicted. As they walked down the driveway, their heads bowed in shame, their possessions piled haphazardly into the moving van, I couldn't help but feel a surge of satisfaction. Not revenge, not exactly. More like justice. A small but significant victory in the game of life. And as I watched them drive away, the gates of the mansion closing behind them, I knew that this was just the beginning. The world was watching, and I was ready to show them what I was capable of. The eviction was apparently more entertaining than I'd anticipated. Who knew foreclosing on your ex-girlfriend's mansion and kicking her and her pompous boyfriend to the curb would be such a spectator sport? By the time Chad's ridiculously oversized SUV, seriously, who needs a vehicle that big in a city? Pulled out of the driveway, a small crowd had gathered, complete with news vans and reporters shoving microphones in their faces. Mr. Chadwick? Mr. Chadwick! Is it true you've been evicted from your home? Miss Sophia, any comment on the rumors that your ex-boyfriend now owns your mansion? The cameras flashed, capturing Sophia's tear-streaked face and Chad's sputtering indignation. I watched the spectacle from the balcony, a smirk playing on my lips. This was better than any reality TV show. Mr. Lewis, Mr. Lewis. A particularly persistent reporter, a woman with fiery red hair and a microphone that looked suspiciously like a weapon, managed to slip past the security guards and practically shoved the microphone in my face. Can you comment on the situation? Sure, I said, leaning against the balcony railing, trying to maintain a casual demeanor despite the sudden spotlight. It's a nice house, great location, good investment opportunity. But isn't it true that this was your ex-girlfriend's home? She pressed, her eyes gleaming with journalistic zeal. And that you bought it after she, or rather her current partner, defaulted on the mortgage. Well, I said, shrugging. Finders keepers, losers weepers, right? The reporter gasped, clearly delighted by my nonchalant response. Mr. Lewis, that's quite a statement. Aren't you worried about the backlash? This could be seen as, well, vindictive. Vindictive? I chuckled. Nah, just good business. Besides, they were the ones who said I'd never amount to anything, remember? The camera zoomed in on my face, capturing the smirk I couldn't quite suppress. This was too much fun. Down in the driveway, Chad, apparently having reached his limit of public humiliation, decided to take matters into his own hands. He shoved his way through the reporters, his face contorted with rage. "Lewis!" he bellowed, his voice cracking with indignation. "You think you're so clever, don't you? Buying our house, flaunting your money. You're nothing but a thug, a low-life fighter with more muscles than brains." The reporters, sensing a juicy conflict brewing, surged forward, their microphones practically vibrating with anticipation. "Mr. Chadwick? Any further comments? Mr. Lewis, will you respond to Mr. Chadwick's accusations?" I leaned forward, my voice cutting through the commotion. "A thug, huh? Well, Chad, if you think I'm just a thug, why don't you prove it? Step into the ring with me. Let's see who the real lowlife is." The crowd gasped. The reporters went wild. "Mr. Lewis, are you issuing a public challenge to Mr. Chadwick? Mr. Chadwick, will you accept Mr. Lewis's challenge?" Chad, momentarily stunned by my audacity, blustered, You want to fight me? You, a martial arts person." "That's right, Chad," I said, my voice dripping with mock seriousness. "You versus me, no holds barred. Winner takes all, or in your case, winner takes, well, nothing, because you've already lost everything." The crowd roared, their cheers a mixture of excitement and disbelief. The reporters were practically foaming at the mouth, their cameras capturing every moment of the unfolding drama. Chad, his face turning an alarming shade of purple, sputtered, You're on, Lewis. I'll crush you. I'll show you what a real man can do." "Looking forward to it, Chad," I said, grinning. "Just try not to pull a hamstring getting into the ring. Wouldn't want to have to fight a cripple." The crowd erupted in laughter, their cheers echoing through the neighborhood. Chad, defeated and humiliated, stormed off, his parting words lost in the cacophony. "You're on, Lewis." Chad had apparently decided that discretion was not the better part of valor. Or maybe he just really, really hated looking like an idiot on live TV. He charged at me, his face contorted with rage, his fists clenched. The reporters scattered, their cameras capturing the unexpected turn of events. "Whoa, hold on there, Chad," I said, holding up my hands in mock surrender. "I thought we were going to do this in a proper ring, with, rules and stuff." "Rules are for cowards," Chad roared, launching himself at me with a surprisingly agile for a banker leap. "I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll never forget." "All right, Chad," I sighed. "If you insist." I sidestepped his clumsy attack, his momentum carrying him past me and almost into the rose bushes. Seriously, who puts rose bushes next to a driveway? He stumbled, regained his balance, and turned to face me, his eyes blazing with fury. "You think you're so clever, don't you?" he snarled, his voice laced with a venomous hatred that surprised me. "But I'm going to—" He didn't get a chance to finish his threat. I moved, a blur of motion honed by years of training, my fist connecting with his jaw in a single, precise strike. The sound of the impact echoed through the stunned silence, followed by a collective gasp from the onlookers. Chad's eyes rolled back in his head, his body crumpling to the ground like a discarded marionette. He landed with a thud, his expensive suit gathering dust, his unconscious form a testament to the power of a well-placed punch, and maybe a little bit of pent-up frustration. The silence held for a moment, broken only by the whirring of cameras and the gasps of the reporters. Then pandemonium erupted. "Oh my God, he knocked him out. With one punch. Did you see that? This is incredible. This is going viral." The reporters swarmed me, their microphones practically vibrating with excitement. Mr. Lewis, can you comment on your, decisive victory? Was that a technique you learned during your training? How does it feel to defeat your rival in such a spectacular fashion?" I grinned, basking in the adulation, the adrenaline still coursing through my veins. "It felt satisfying," I said, dusting off my hands. "And yeah, that was a classic Lionheart special. Years of training, pays off in the end." The camera zoomed in, capturing my triumphant grin, the sweat glistening on my brow, the undeniable aura of victory surrounding me. This was my moment. The culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and a healthy dose of "I'll show you" attitude. Sophia, meanwhile, had finally recovered from her shock. She rushed to Chad's side, her face a mixture of concern and something else. Regret? Maybe a little bit of regret. Chad, wake up!" she cried, shaking his shoulder. He groaned, his eyes fluttering open. He looked around, dazed and confused, his gaze finally settling on me, a flicker of recognition, and then fear. Pure, unadulterated fear. You, he stammered, his voice barely a whisper. "I told you, Chad," I said, my voice calm, almost gentle. "Rules are for cowards." He scrambled back, his eyes wide with terror, his dignity shattered along with his jaw. Sophia helped him to his feet, their retreat a sorry spectacle of defeat and humiliation. As they stumbled away, the crowd parted, their whispers a mixture of awe and amusement. I watched them go, a sense of satisfaction settling over me. This wasn't just about winning a fight. It was about proving a point. It was about showing the world, and maybe even myself, that I was more than just the guy Sophia had dismissed. I was a champion, a warrior, a force to be reckoned with. And as the cameras continued to flash, the reporters shouting questions, the world watching, I knew that this was just the beginning. The knockout was just a taste of what was to come. The real fight, the fight for my legacy, for my place in the world. That fight had just begun. All right, world, listen up. I stood on a makeshift stage in the middle of Times Square, a sea of faces stretching out before me, the cameras flashing, the world watching. I, Leo the Lionheart Lewis, am officially announcing the first ever global martial arts tournament. The crowd roared, their cheers echoing through the canyons of skyscrapers, a wave of excitement washing over the city. This was big, bigger than me, bigger than the UFC, bigger than anything the martial arts world had ever seen. That's right, I continued, grinning. We're talking the best of the best, from every discipline, every corner of the globe. Kung Fu masters, capoeira champions, sumo wrestlers, Krav Maga experts. If you think you've got what it takes, then step up and prove it. The idea had come to me in a dream, or maybe it was a sugar rush after one too many victory donuts. Don't judge, I deserved a treat. I wanted to create something legendary, something that would push the boundaries of martial arts, something that would inspire a new generation of fighters. This isn't just about fighting, I said, my voice echoing through the square. It's about pushing your limits, about testing your skills, about discovering the true potential within yourself. It's about becoming a legend. The crowd went wild, their cheers a testament to the power of dreams, the allure of competition, and the universal desire to witness a good old-fashioned beatdown. We'll have different weight classes, different styles, different rules, I explained, gesturing towards a giant screen behind me where the tournament rules and regulations were scrolling in a dizzying array of languages. But one thing remains constant: respect. Respect for your opponent, respect for the art, and respect for yourself. I paused, letting the words sink in. This wasn't just about winning. It was about honoring the traditions, the discipline, the spirit of martial arts. It was about showing the world that fighting wasn't just about brute force. It was about skill, strategy, and the unwavering pursuit of self-improvement. "So, what are you waiting for?" I yelled, my voice echoing through the square. "Sign up, train hard, and let's show the world what we're made of." The crowd erupted, their cheers reaching a fever pitch, their excitement palpable. This was more than just a tournament. It was a movement, a revolution, a celebration of the human spirit and the power of martial arts. Backstage, Ben was practically bouncing off the walls. "Dude, this is insane. You've actually done it. You've created the biggest martial arts tournament in history." "Told you I was going to be a legend?" I grinned, feeling a surge of pride mixed with a healthy dose of disbelief. "A legend? You're going to be a god, man, the king of the martial arts world." "Easy there, Ben," I chuckled. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, we need to actually organize this thing." The logistics were daunting, I'll admit. Finding a venue, securing sponsors, recruiting judges, and handling the influx of applications from fighters around the globe, it was enough to make me want to retreat to a secluded mountain dojo and meditate for a month. But I had a team now. Ben, ever the resourceful one, had assembled a group of surprisingly competent assistants, ranging from a former event planner with a knack for logistics to a tech-savvy teenager who could probably hack into the Pentagon if he wanted to. "We've got this, Leo," Ben assured me, his voice calm and confident. "You just focus on the fighting. We'll handle the rest." And so the preparations began. The world watched, their anticipation growing with each passing day. Fighters trained, sponsors lined up, and the media went into a frenzy, hyping up the tournament as the event of the century. This was more than just a fight. It was a spectacle, a global phenomenon, a testament to the power of dreams and the enduring appeal of martial arts. And I, Leo the Lionheart Lewis, the boy who had once been dismissed as a dreamer, a nobody, a loser, I was at the center of it all. The world was watching, and I was ready to show them what I was made of. The press conference was a zoo. Reporters from every major news outlet crammed into the ballroom of my, formerly Chad's, but let's be real, it's mine now, mansion, their cameras flashing, their microphones practically vibrating with anticipation. The Global Martial Arts Tournament was the hottest ticket in the town, and everyone wanted a piece of the action. "Mr. Lewis, Mr. Lewis, can you confirm the rumors that Bruce Lee's grandson will be competing?" "Mr. Lewis, is it true that the prize money for the tournament is $10 million? Mr. Lewis, what kind of security measures are you taking to prevent, unauthorized brawls?" I navigated the throng of reporters, Ben acting as my human shield, and occasional snack provider. Those mini quiches were surprisingly good. This was the life now, the price of fame, the burden of being the king of the martial arts world. Ben's words, not mine, though I wasn't going to lie, it had a nice ring to it. All right, settle down, folks," I said, raising my voice to be heard above the clamor. "One question at a time. And yes, Bruce Lee's grandson is competing. No, the prize money is not $10 million. And yes, we have a highly trained security team to prevent any extracurricular activities." A hand shot up from the back of the crowd. "Mr. Lewis, it's Sophia Miller from Channel 7 News. Can you comment on the rumors that your ex-girlfriend, Sophia, the other Sophia, has requested a press pass to the tournament?" The room went silent. All eyes turned to me, their curiosity palpable. Sophia, my Sophia, the woman who had dismissed my dreams, broken my heart, and then had the audacity to show up at my press conference, expecting a front row seat to my triumph. I smirked. This was too good to be true. Sophia? Well. It seems the prodigal ex has returned, and she wants a press pass, does she? I leaned into the microphone, my voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Tell you what, Sophia, I'll give you an exclusive. A scoop that'll make your career. Ready?" The reporters held their breath, their pens poised, their cameras focused. "Sophia," I said, my voice clear and firm, "is officially banned from the Global Martial Arts Tournament." The room erupted. Gasps, shouts, and a cacophony of questions filled the air. Mr. Lewis? Why are you banning your ex-girlfriend? Is this a personal vendetta? Can you elaborate on your reasons? I held up my hand, silencing the commotion. It's not personal, folks. It's principle. You see, Sophia here had a choice. Years ago, she could have chosen to support my dreams, to believe in me, to be a part of my journey. But she didn't. She chose Chad. She chose a life of luxury and comfort, a life where ambition and passion were replaced by designer labels and social status. I paused, letting the words sink in. And now that I've achieved my dreams, now that I'm living the life she always wanted, now that I'm the one with the mansion and the fame and well, you get the picture. Now she wants to be a part of it? Now she wants a front row seat to my success? I shook my head, a wry smile playing on my lips. Sorry, Sophia. You missed your chance. This tournament, this victory, this life. It's not for you. It's for the people who believed in me, who supported me, who stood by me when I was nothing but a struggling martial artist with no real prospects. Wah. I looked directly into the camera, my gaze unwavering. This is for the dreamers, the fighters, the underdogs. This is for the people who never gave up, who never stopped believing, who never let anyone tell them they couldn't achieve their goals. This is for the Lionhearts. The reporters were stunned into silence, their pens frozen, their cameras still. Then a slow clap started, spreading through the room, growing louder until it was a thunderous ovation, a wave of approval and admiration washing over me. I grinned, feeling a surge of triumph, of vindication, of pure, unadulterated satisfaction. This was my moment, my victory, my statement to the world, and to Sophia that I had finally arrived. And as the press conference ended, the reporters dispersing, their cameras still flashing, their voices buzzing with excitement, I knew that this was just the beginning. The ban was just the first move in a much bigger game. The tournament was coming. The world was watching. And I, Leo the Lionheart Lewis, was ready to roar. The roar of the crowd was deafening. The lights were blinding. The energy in the arena was electric, crackling with anticipation and a healthy dose of bloodlust. This was it, the final match of the Global Martial Arts Tournament. Me, Leo the Lionheart Lewis, versus Master Kenji Tanaka, the reigning champion of Kendo, a man who looked like he could slice a fly in half with a single flick of his wrist. "Dude, you got this," Ben said, his voice barely audible above the din. He was sweating, his eyes wide with a mixture of excitement and terror. Just, try not to get impaled. No promises, I grinned, feeling the familiar surge of adrenaline coursing through my veins. This was what it all came down to. Years of training, of sacrifice, of proving everyone wrong. This was my moment. The referee signaled the start of the match, and Master Tanaka moved, a blur of motion, his kendo sword a whisper of steel. I reacted instinctively, drawing on every technique, every lesson, every ounce of training I had ever received. This wasn't just a fight. It was a culmination of my journey, a testament to my dedication, my passion, my unwavering belief in myself. We clashed, the sound of wood against wood echoing through the arena, the sparks flying as our swords met in a flurry of attacks and counterattacks. The crowd roared, their cheers and shouts a symphony of excitement, their energy fueling my every move. Master Tanaka was a formidable opponent, his skills honed by years of discipline and practice. But I was no longer the boy Sophia had dismissed, the dreamer with no future. I was the Lionheart, the warrior, the champion. The fight raged on, a dance of skill, strategy, and sheer willpower. We traded blows, each strike a testament to our mastery of the art, our respect for the traditions, our unwavering determination to win. I felt a surge of power, the culmination of every training session, every fight, every challenge I had ever faced. This was what I was born for. This was my destiny. And then I saw my opening. A subtle shift in his stance, a momentary lapse in his concentration. I seized the opportunity, my movements fluid, precise, a combination of techniques I had learned from masters around the world. A swift strike, a calculated parry, and then the final blow. My sword connected with his, the force of the impact sending him stumbling back, his balance broken, his defense shattered. I pressed my advantage, my attacks relentless, my spirit unyielding. With a final, decisive strike, I disarmed him, his sword clattering to the ground, his defeat undeniable. The crowd erupted, their cheers deafening, their excitement reaching a fever pitch. The referee stepped in, raising my hand in victory. The winner, Leo the Lionheart Lewis. I stood there, the weight of the championship belt a tangible symbol of my triumph. The roar of the crowd a testament to my journey, my transformation, my victory. I had done it. I had conquered my doubts, my fears, my past. I had achieved the impossible. I raised my arms, basking in the adulation, the cameras flashing, the world watching. And as I looked out at the sea of faces, a wave of emotion washed over me. Gratitude, humility, and a profound sense of accomplishment. "This one's for you, Sophia," I whispered, a hint of defiance in my voice. "And for everyone who ever doubted me." The camera zoomed in, capturing my triumphant grin, the sweat glistening on my brow, the undeniable aura of victory surrounding me. This was my moment. The culmination of years of hard work, dedication, and an unwavering belief in myself. And as the cheers continued, the confetti raining down, the world celebrating my victory, I knew that this was more than just a fight. It was a statement, a declaration of independence, a testament to the power of dreams and the resilience of the human spirit. I had come a long way from the boy who had been dismissed, rejected, and left behind. I was no longer the underdog, the dreamer, the nobody. I was the Lionheart, the champion, the legend. And as I looked out at the world, a new chapter unfolding before me, I knew that this was just the beginning. The world was my arena now, and I was ready to conquer it, one fight, one victory, one dream at a time.